Video will concern a viral video that no one cares about anymore. It was debunked very readily, and a lot of people pushed back against that because it ruined their fun. I want to point out something to anybody watching. I'm going to invoke the expression scientific method and anti-scientific method, and I'm going to explain it. Scientific method is where you observe things, you make as many notes about what happened as possible, and you're after facts. Some used to use the word truth, but that's been co-opted by anti-scientific method. These are people who call themselves truthers while they keep repeating things that are not true. Not necessarily lying, but they're saying things that are demonstrably untrue for whatever reason. Now, I want to point out storytelling. If you're telling a really good story, don't let the truth get in the way. Why? Because the whole point of a story is to tell a story. It doesn't matter if it's accurate, really. What matters is it's entertaining. As long as you're telling a story and acknowledging you're doing storytelling, not a problem. If you claim and misuse and blaspheme the word truth while saying things that are demonstrably untrue or provably untrue, you're either doing it because you've made a mistake or you're outright lying. The point beyond which it goes from being somebody doing something for fun because it's entertaining on YouTube, chill out, bro, to lying to the point that several Democrats almost got murdered. Well, that's not, yes, it is. Yeah, as a matter of fact, absolutely yes, it is. Every time any one of you, including me, repeats or reposts something that's untrue, even unknowingly, we are making shit worse. If the world is dependent on accurate information and you do the opposite, you are the problem. I don't care that this is about an Anunnaki, Bigfoot bullshit story. It has all of the same elements. That's why I'm treating this as a safe thing to go after. The person who did this is named Andrew Dawson, and the other parts of his name may or may not be correct. We're going to call him Andy. Andy did a viral video April 9th, 2022 or earlier. He was on Yellowhead Highway, aka it's BC-5, and he was at not just this kind of a location. This is accurately the GPS. This is absolutely on the mark. I got lucky and was able to shorten it. Anyway, he looked 12 kilometers away at a mountaintop called Canoe Mountain, apparently, and saw a radio tower. It's actually 11.5 kilometers away to the tower from the exact point, because I really did measure it as best I could. And the radio tower location, that's actually the peak location. We're going to correct that in a minute. Now, we're going to do a couple of things here. First thing is, I'm going to show a Google Street View that has been stripped of all the data other than its Google Street View image. Now, we're going to point out that that sign did not get mentioned in his video and wasn't mentioned later on at all. I'll bring it up later. This is a Google Street View from 2012, August. This is the clearest view. So if you go to the right location, this is going to be the one that lines up. I'm going to put my cursor right over the upper left-hand corner of the sign and go back. That's pretty close. Now I'm going to go to the bottom of the notch up here as best we can. That's pretty close. Now, the point is, these are the same places. Now, I want to point out, people have noticed that if you go look at it in Google Street View for any other year, or if you go there in person, well, it looks different. Yeah, because clouds look like mountains, and an antenna on top of a mountain covered with snow is going to look like the same color. And some clouds look like mountains, and it'll look like the entire top of the mountain's missing. That doesn't mean anybody's blocking it or blurring it. It means it's screwed up. It's a terrible image to work with. That's why we use clear images. That's why we reject, if at all possible, unclear images like this. So let's look at a slightly clearer version of this. This was, and he moved a little further because this cloud got the hell out of the way. Let's rewind that a bit. Yeah, there's the cloud puff there. And this is further down the road, and we can now see the notch cleaner. And he could have pointed out that that's a wildlife area sign and that that's a road. And he did not. But we now see clearly that because of this ridge angle and height up, that that's the mountaintop edge. Now this area here, I'm going to back up, is just an area where it's a lot more greenery and a lot more trees somehow, so it tends to look like that all year round. Now we're going to move ahead, and it's zoom in time. He obviously has a camera that can do really good high quality imaging, but he chooses when to do it. And then, oh, we get this shape. Gee, that's an oddly specific shape that we could compare and contrast if only we had the accurate name of it. It's a specific mountaintop. That name was not used in most of the forums. People went out of their way to point to another one that was a lot further away in some cases. Again, did he tell people where he took the imaging from? The exact location. Now, some are going to argue he wouldn't want to give that away because that would endanger this being there, or them trying to phony it up, because people are already creating a narrative to explain away any fact you find. Again, anti-scientific method, we want a certain conclusion, so we make up shit to fill it in, versus scientific method where we observe what's happening and try to figure out what it means. And we occasionally get that wrong, versus the anti-scientific method where we go out of our way to be wrong, because we're trying to prop up some belief, like an Anunnaki exists, therefore I have the right religion, or Bigfoot exists, therefore I haven't wasted 20 years of my life collecting footprints of bears. So we're going to look at this shape exactly, ignore everything else, and now we're going to go forward a little bit. Well, that doesn't look exactly right. This is the oldest picture of that damn antenna. It's 2012. Shut up and listen. No, it's not a recent thing put up there to try to distract you from the trutherness. It's a fucking antenna. It's been there since 2012. There are videos and photos of it for a long time, and occasionally it looks exactly like this, depending on which way the wind blew the snow. It's a fucking antenna. That's the GPS location. The video's over, but let's move forward. We're going to look at the mapping of it all. First of all, we're going to go over here and look at the location he was at. And when we do, we can find out he could have said, hey, I know this is going to be shocking, but we're at Cedarside Regional Park and I've seen an Anunnaki. That's the entrance to Cedarside Regional Park. And if we hit the street view thing, you get a street view, the one I used, and there's also one there from the lake, or whatever that is. And then 11.5 kilometers away is the antenna. Now, when we zoom out and go there, we have to zoom out a lot more than that. We want to look at the mountain range, and we look for Canoe Mountain. We zoom in on Canoe Mountain, and hopefully it stops doing pop-ups. And there's the peak for Canoe Mountain. And when we hit this, we find out there's a Google sphere we're going to be able to use in a minute. And then let's measure that distance. 1,000 feet further northwest, we see our antenna. Now I want to point out that when we do that little sphere, it's actually going to hover over this shadowed item. That's a cross on top of it. And we zoom in here and look at the shadow. It's the same damn shape. Okay, so we are done again. Video's over. Now we're going to look at the Canoe Mountain view. First, we're going to use this other this other screen image, this other tab, to look around the area. If we're at Canoe Mountain top peak from that map view, we should line up with this. There's a little diddle there, and it points this way. And we're looking up and over it to there, which is a lot further away. So we're going to compare and contrast some things. Now, this was 2020, doesn't matter. But there it is. Now we're going to look at a couple of things here to confirm things. That's an airstrip out there. Let's go back. And that's this airstrip. And it's almost a straight line back for that road there. Now we're going to zoom out a little. And we're going to look over here. And we're going to see that little diddle over there I mentioned by that lake right here. That confirms the angle to here. So we are definitely getting the right Google Street View or map or whatever you want to call it. We zoom out a little bit. And now we want to trace from here back to see if we can get a reference point of where he was sitting. There's that puddle there, and, well, that's the edge of the lake. And this is a blank space with that little triangular shape there. Go up here, there's our triangle shape waiting. There's a triangle shape right there. It's not much of a triangle, but it's, but it's what we got. And there's that little road there. So we're definitely looking at the same stuff, but it's distorted because of the angle. Here's a bunch of oxbows going in. There they are, wiggly, waggly, wiggly. And we're going around this blank space here, which is just this nice area here. And apparently that's called Canoe River. Now, after we go far enough, we get to the point where we see this sort of triangle. That matches up only with this triangle here. That's a lodge or something. The rest of the stuff doesn't match necessarily because Google Maps are done over many, many years. Okay, so let's see if we can see our friend from here. Well, we can't really. You see, from this angle, we're at, if you're not aware of it, this is being done with a drone. Right here, we can see tips, and he can't see those tips on the snowy top. So he's way down here along this road here. See that patch there? I don't know if I can get this matched up correctly, but he's on what appears to be that chunk of road there or this one. And there's a patch there. Let's see. We got that. Let's do this again. That angle there. That's further north of it. So, yeah, there's no okay, that's that patch there. So we're seeing a large range here. So let's try and put him. He'd be right about in here. So we're looking right through the mountain at him. That lines up and it gives us the same angle. Again, April 9th, 2022, Andy Dawson was on Yellowhead Highway, pointed his camera at a certain angle, did not make note of his location, and as far as I know, didn't tell anybody exactly his location, even though the technology is readily available if he had a cell phone. And didn't tell us the mountaintop, apparently, unless he ever said canoe. I didn't find that anywhere. No one's even claimed he said it. And people keep bringing up other things. It's a radio tower. It's been there since 2012. There's no reason to lie about this on my part or anybody else's part. This is what he was seeing. That's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. And facts, while they're boring, don't cause really horrible outcomes. Lying or quote-unquote trutherism does.